Welcome to the 180 Days presentation. We are the KHS English Language Arts Department. I'm Erin McBride. I teach Language Arts 1, Language Arts 2, Advanced Language Arts 2, and Short Stories.
I'm Lindsay Carlson. I teach Language Arts 2, Language Arts 3, American Lit, and Brit Lit.
I'm Jacob Jane. I teach Language Arts 1, a section of Language Arts 2, and a short story elective.
I'm Daniel Massman. I teach Language Arts 3, Journalism, Contemporary Literature, and Composition.
Is the
He's not in the
I was going to ask presentation.
So I'm going to share your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell we're having a few technical difficulties.
And then it just did all of the advancing. There we go.
There it is. All right. So 180 Days is a book that the Language Arts Department read as a book study, I believe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, written by Kelly Gallagher, Penny Kittle. And basically the book tracks these two English teachers teaching what they believe to be the most important aspects about teaching language arts. And really, they emphasize the following, so the 3 bullet points: student choice, frequent student-to-teacher conferencing, and steady reading and writing routines in the classroom throughout the year. Go to the next one.
So one of the reasons we chose to read and then implement some of the practices from 180 Days was that it puts reading and writing at the center of our classrooms, which we're language arts teachers, so that's what should be at the center. It focuses on providing feedback and instruction while students are writing, rather than waiting till they submit something, giving them, a marked up red ink paper, only for them to drop it in the trash on the way out of the room. So, and then student choice encourages higher levels of engagement and interest in what they're reading.
So a little bit about the reading. We tackle literature in a variety of ways, including core texts, which is what the entire class reads together. Book clubs, which are kind of small group reading similar to a literary circle or literature circle, and independent reading projects as well. So a little bit about our core texts. So Lindsay talked about, or Lindsay or Jacob talked about the importance of student engagement. And so we've kind of made our choices a little bit more contemporary. So gone are the days of Shakespeare as a whole class. And so for freshman English, we are currently studying Every Day by David Levithan. And our nonfiction text is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. And sophomore English, we are reading a dystopian novel currently called Unwind by Neil Shusterman. And our nonfiction text is Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. And junior year, they read Flight by Sherman Alexie, and their nonfiction text is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah.
Oh, that's good. Sorry. One of the things we're looking at, especially this year as we are implementing these changes gradually over time, is how do we build our students' ability to write? And so much of what 180 Days talks about is building routines. And so we are being a lot more intentional in introducing writing on a daily basis. That doesn't mean that every day they are producing an essay, but it means that they are putting pen to paper to actually produce something, whether that just be responding to a quick question on the board, or whether that be building up something to be adapted to a larger piece later on. Just having them work with writing in some form or another on a daily basis is extremely beneficial. As far as the standards go and what we do in our own classrooms, we do differentiate the different types of writing: narrative writing, argumentative writing, and informative writing. There are different skills associated with each. And as we go through our class, though, we also make sure that we are making connections between them, because at its core, good writing is good writing. Eventually, we are going to be building this up to what's called a multi-genre project, where we're pulling in not just writing and reading, but kind of a multimedia way of approaching writing. More than anything, though, what 180 days allows us to do in our classrooms with writing is it allows us to focus on feedback in the process of writing. It allows our students to make revisions as they are relevant, like Lindsay was saying. It's a lot more beneficial this way, because they're not just seeing it as a grade and then moving on with their lives. They can see writing as an evolving process.
So the third skill, which is actually kind of two skills, but they're so interrelated that we kind of paired them together, is speaking and listening. So that's where we're giving direct instruction on being a good collaborator, being a good member of a group and part of a discussion. Usually this discussions are student driven. One of the beliefs we have as a department is whoever's doing the talking is the one who's doing the learning. So we try to make our discussions student-centered around both their interests and their observations. And then these speaking and listening skills also focus on research and preparation. So some ways that we've been doing that, or we've talked about doing that this year, is using podcasts, using audiobooks to have them listen and analyze and be engaged listeners, and practicing those skills. So if there are any questions, we couldn't get the Q&A function to work on the Zoom settings side of things. So if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Just shoot an email to your student's teacher, and we can, we'll talk about them and respond as you have a minute.